programmed to attack targets without requiring data connectivity between the operator and the munition. A true fire, forget, and find capability. Those words come from a United Nations report, not about tomorrow, but what already happened in Libya. From Gaza to Ukraine, AI is generating kill lists, compressing the gap between detection and death to seconds. When a machine takes command of the battlefield, who is actually in control? In Gaza, the pace of targeting has moved from hours to seconds. Investigative journalist Yuval Abraham obtained leaked screenshots and testimony revealing how the Israeli military's Lavender and Gospel systems generate mass lists of suspected militants. Lavender ingests social media, phone metadata, and surveillance footage, then assigns risk scores to thousands of individuals. The resulting profiles, tens of thousands according to Abraham's sources, are reviewed by human operators who, former IDF analysts say, often spend just seconds before approving a strike. The process, described as rubber stamping, leaves little room for deliberation or independent verification. The system's user interface, captured in leaked images, displays color-coded threat levels and numeric scores. Once a target is flagged, the Gospel Pipeline Cross checks the recommendation and packages it for action. In some cases, the AI even schedules strikes for moments when a target is detected inside a residence. Officially, the Israeli Defense Forces deny that AI systems replace human decision-makers, insisting that commanders maintain final authority. Yet, the sheer scale, reportedly 37,000 target recommendations in just 6 weeks, raises questions about whether meaningful human control is possible when the approval window shrinks to a matter of seconds. The lack of transparent audit trails and the statistical nature of the recommendations have drawn sharp criticism from legal scholars and human rights groups, who warn that the law's requirement for individual assessment is being eroded by algorithmic speed. The IDF stands by its procedures, but the evidence suggests a system where the boundary between human judgment and machine command is rapidly dissolving. On the outskirts of Sirte, Libya, a Kargu-2 drone manufactured by Turkey became the subject of a United Nations forensic investigation. The United Nations panel of experts traced the drone's journey using Turkish export permits, serial numbers K2001 through K2022, and shipping records routed through Cyprus. Satellite images from May 12, 2021 show a new crater beside a civilian truck, while hospital logs from Sirte General Hospital confirm 2 civilian deaths from shrapnel injuries at the same hour. Signals intelligence intercepts, partially redacted in Annex B, captured the phrase, "engage autonomous," from a base controlled by the Libyan National Army. Yet the critical telemetry logs that would prove the drone acted without any operator input remain withheld. United Nations analysts cross-referenced the drone's distinctive V-blade rotor and launch signatures with field video, but could not confirm if the Kargu-2's autonomous mode was engaged by default or switched on manually. Manufacturer STM's public data sheet describes fully automatic capability, noting that human supervision is recommended but not required. Independent technical assessments affirm that artificial intelligence-based target selection is feasible, but warn of a 5% false positive rate in urban settings. The panel's report stops short of labeling the strike as fully autonomous, citing the absence of unredacted flight logs and the inability to rule out last-moment operator intervention. In the end, the evidence chain meets formal standards for platform attribution, but it leaves the most consequential question, who pulled the trigger, unanswered. Near Kharkiv, a commercial drone retrofitted with an AI vision module misclassified a civilian truck convoy as an armored military column. The strike, captured on open-source battle footage and later analyzed by independent investigators, resulted in 3 civilian deaths. Ukrainian Ministry of Defense officials responded by issuing a temporary suspension of autonomous targeting for non-military visual feeds. Days later, in Zaporizhzhia, an aid convoy marked with Red Cross insignia came under attack after an AI-enabled drone flagged it as military logistics. Satellite imagery and non-governmental organization reports confirmed 2 aid workers were injured. The ministry's public notice referenced a need to reevaluate the timing and rigor of human-in-the-loop verification. These incidents have fueled skepticism among independent analysts. The Royal United Services Institute and the Carnegie Endowment both warn that battlefield AI, often trained on synthetic or incomplete datasets, struggles to distinguish civilian from military targets in chaotic environments. Their reports argue that the majority of Ukrainian drone strikes remain operator-controlled, with AI modules serving as assistive layers rather than autonomous decision-makers. Yet, as the pace of combat accelerates and the window for human intervention shrinks to just seconds, the promise of meaningful human control grows increasingly fragile. The push to outpace adversaries with faster kill chains risks turning technical limitations into moral and legal hazards, a reality that now shapes the global arms race for AI on the battlefield. Inside the Pentagon, the push to automate warfare has become a generational project. In 2017, Project Maven began feeding drone footage into neural networks, training algorithms to spot vehicles, buildings, and people with a level of speed and consistency that human analysts could not match. By 2022, the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center had grown into the Chief Digital and AI Office, an institution charged with setting policy, overseeing acquisition, and defining ethical boundaries for military AI. The latest effort, known as the Replicator initiative, aims to deploy thousands of low-cost autonomous systems across air, land, and sea within just 2 years. Internal memos cite a need to outpace adversaries and mass field attritable platforms at scale, with budgets in the billions and timelines measured in quarters, not decades. On the other side of the Pacific, Chinese defense doctrine now centers on the concept of intelligentized warfare. The 2022 PLA white paper describes an end-to-end approach. AI is tasked not only with target recognition, but with data fusion, operational planning, and even command-level decision support. State procurement data shows a steady annual rise in AI-enabled unmanned systems, with a 30% increase in fielded platforms since 2020. Chinese military publications emphasize real-time data flow and sub-second decision cycles, presenting AI as a force multiplier that can compress the traditional kill chain to the point where human intervention becomes a bottleneck. Both the United States and China are building pipelines that move AI from lab to battlefield at unprecedented speed. The scale and intent behind these programs are explicit: to redefine what it means to command and control in war, and to ensure that national security is no longer limited by the pace of human thought. The doctrine is clear, but the consequences, legal, ethical, and strategic, remain deeply unsettled. Russian leaders claim a coming wave of autonomous weaponry, but the gap between rhetoric and reality is hard to ignore. Putin's 2024 pledge to lead the world in autonomous systems stands in contrast to shortages of advanced AI chips and a talent pool stretched thin by sanctions. Russian forces currently field about 500 AI-enabled drones and loitering munitions, far below official projections. Most rely on basic automation, with operators still making key decisions, and technical documents confirm that older neural networks remain the norm. NATO, meanwhile, has turned to transparency as a counterweight. In March 2024, France and Germany proposed a voluntary registry for AI-enabled weapons, aiming for annual updates on member states' deployments. The NATO Ministerial Council endorsed the idea that June, but disagreements over data sharing and the registry's non-binding nature have slowed real progress. The concept of open inventories stands in stark contrast to the secrecy that surrounds US, Chinese, and Russian arsenals. Turkey's drone industry has surged, with SIPRI reporting exports jumping from $2.1 billion in 2020 to $5.8 billion in 2024, a 176% rise. Turkish platforms like the Bayraktar TB2 and Akinci boast basic AI targeting, but most exported systems still require significant operator input. The rapid spread of these drones, often to unstable regions, has outpaced both regulation and arms control, raising fresh questions about oversight and accountability. Meaningful human control, or MHC, stands at the heart of today's debate over AI in warfare. The International Committee of the Red Cross defines MHC as a person's ability to understand, intervene, and take responsibility for a weapon's use of force. But as machine learning systems like Gaza's Lavender or Ukraine's FP5 drones make split-second decisions, that definition is pushed to its limits. Legal scholars note that international law demands individual assessment, yet these models rely on statistical predictions. When flawed data leads to civilian vehicles being flagged as threats, the results are permanent. AI safety researchers argue these aren't rare glitches. They are expected failures in unpredictable settings. The risk of flash war escalation looms, echoing the 2010 flash crash, when trading algorithms erased $1 trillion in minutes. In war, the stakes are life and death. Accountability remains unresolved. Pressure for international rules on AI weapons is coming not only from diplomats, but from a growing alliance of scientists and civil society. Computer scientist Stuart Russell and physicist Max Tegmark have become leading public voices, warning that unchecked autonomy in warfare risks catastrophic mistakes and a breakdown of accountability. Their arguments echo through the Stop Killer Robots Coalition, a network of NGOs that has pushed the issue from street protests to the floor of the United Nations. In November 2024, a record 161 states backed a UN General Assembly resolution calling for urgent action on autonomous weapons. The campaign's milestones include coordinated statements to the First Committee, public petitions, and policy briefings distributed to national delegations. While the resolutions remain non-binding, the sheer scale of support signals a shift in diplomatic momentum. The movement's influence is now visible in draft protocols, registry proposals, and the language of official statements, as advocates insist that meaningful human control must be more than a slogan. Right now, AI-guided weapons identify and strike. Without warning, often faster than human review can keep up. As military budgets surge and oversight lags, the phrase "meaningful human control" grows emptier by the day. The real question is, who answers when the algorithm gets it wrong? Share your thoughts below.